Hi again, Mark here from Talkingbass.net. Today, this is another in the music theory series of lessons in which I'll be working through all the modes of the harmonic minor scale, what they are and how you can memorize them. So I've already released 2 videos devoted to the modes of the major scale, and if you haven't seen those, then I highly recommend watching them first. I talk about what modes are and how they're used in both composition and improvisation. This week we'll look at the modes of the harmonic minor scale, and next week we'll look at the melodic minor scale. So first of all, let's quickly go back over the construction of the harmonic minor scale. The harmonic minor is exactly the same as the natural minor scale, but the 7th degree is raised, so it's a major 7th from the root rather than a minor 7th. So for a C harmonic minor scale, from this C here at the 3rd fret of the A string, we have the following notes: C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, C. Okay, so in terms of the frets there, we've got 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, A string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, D string, and then 4th fret, 5th fret on the G string. Play that up and down. Okay, and you can hear it's got that stereotypical, neoclassical sound. Okay? So that's the harmonic minor scale. Now let's have a look at the modes within there. So just as we can build a new scale from each step of the major scale, we can do exactly the same for this harmonic minor. So let's look at the notes of the C harmonic minor. We have C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B natural, C. So if we build a new scale on each step of the harmonic minor using only those original notes, we get the following 7 scales. So that C harmonic minor is the first mode. Then for the second mode, we start on D, and we have D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B, C, D. So exactly the same set of notes, just starting on D. Then we have the next one starting on E flat, which gives us E flat, F, G, A flat, B, C, D, and so on. So we're always sticking to the notes of that original C harmonic minor. So as you'll remember from the major modes lesson, we can learn a specific scale pattern for each mode. So we're going to play each mode of C harmonic minor starting with the root notes on the A string. So we'll begin with the first mode, which is obviously C harmonic minor. Okay, then we move to the second mode. So we're going to be starting on D and playing exactly the same notes as we just played, but in this position. So we have D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B, C, D. Okay? So that's the scale pattern, and that's often called the Locrian natural 6 scale. It's also called the Dorian Sharp 6 scale. It depends on where you'll be reading about it, but there's no real regimented naming system for these. So you'll see different names attributed to them all the time. So I like to use Locrian natural 6 because when we get up to that 6, it is a major 6 there. I think if you used sharp 6, you start thinking of, augmented 6th or something like that. So I just like to think of that as the major 6th, the natural 6, as opposed to the flattened 6th, which you have in the Locrian. And that's a good point in that it's called the Locrian natural 6 because it's a variation, or you see it as a variation on the Locrian scale. So when I see that scale, I see a Locrian scale just with that sharpened 6 in there, or natural 6, or major 6. So let's just run through that pattern there. So we have 5th fret, 6th fret, 8th fret, A string. Then we move up onto the D string and have 5th fret, 6th fret, then the 9th fret. So we've got this weird little stretch there, and then up to C and D there, 5th fret and 7th fret on the G string. So in terms of the intervals in there, we've got the root note, flattened 2nd, flattened 3rd, 4th, flattened 5th, then the normal 6th, flattened 7th, and then the octave. Okay, so that's the Locrian natural 6 scale. Next we start on the E flat for the third mode, which is called the Ionian Augmented scale, and this is just a major scale with a sharpened 5th. So if we start there on the E flat, we have E flat, F, G, A flat, then the B, C, D, E flat. Okay, so. Okay, so in terms of the frets, A string, 6th fret, 8th fret, then onto the D string, 5th fret, 6th fret, 9th fret, then for the G string, we have 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret. Remember what I said, it's just a major scale with a sharpened 5, and you might also see it as major sharp 5 scale, but Ionian augmented, you know, that's what I call it. Next, for the 4th mode, we start on the F and play the Dorian Sharp 11 scale. So you could call it Dorian Sharp 11 or the Dorian Sharp 4, see it as either one. So we have, okay, so F, G, A flat, B, C, D, E flat, F. You know, it's just that same palette as the C harmonic minor scale, we're just starting on the F. So in terms of the frets, we have A string, 8th fret, 10th fret, 11th fret, then D string, 9th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret, and then we move up onto the G string for the 8th fret and 10th fret, okay? Like I say, if you know a Dorian scale already, you just start playing that Dorian and just sharpen that 4th. For the 5th mode, we have the G Phrygian dominant scale, and this is just a Mixolydian scale with a flattened 2nd and a flattened 6th, or flattened 9th and flattened 13th, if you were using it for chord extensions. So we start on that G, and we have G, A flat, B, C, D, E flat, F, G. Okay, so 10th fret, 11th fret, A string, then we move to the D string, 9th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret, then up onto the G string, 8th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret, okay? Okay, so that's a very popular scale, the G Phrygian dominant. For the 6th mode, we have the A flat Lydian Sharp 9 scale, or Lydian Sharp 2 scale, and that sounds like this. Again, it's a little bit of a strange scale because we've got that the minor 3rd or augmented 2nd for the 2nd degree. So there's two different ways to play this. Now the way that I'm going to show you is a little bit more akin to playing a major type scale, because this 6th mode is actually a major type scale. But well, I'll show you the other way in a second. But we'll begin with the A flat there at the 11th fret of the A string. Then we move straight onto the D string and play the B, C, D and E flat. So we've got 4 notes on that string. So that's the 9th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret and 13th fret. Then we move up onto the G string and we play the F, the G and the A flat. So that's 10th fret, 12th fret, 13th fret. So if you know a Lydian scale, just think of a Lydian scale, a standard Lydian there, with that major 2nd in there, and just take that 2nd out and then just put this kind of minor 3rd in there, sliding up to the major 3rd. So you've got a minor 3rd and a major 3rd. It's actually an augmented 2nd, but don't worry about that. So okay, so that's one way to play. The other way would be to play that 2nd here. So we had to have A flat and the B on the A string. So 11th fret and then what's that? The 14th fret. Then just shift across to the what we got there, the C, D, E flat on the D string and the F, G, A flat. So that might feel a little bit more normal for a lot of you, but I like to play it here because it just has more of that, well, you can see how it relates a little bit more to that major kind of major scale type or Lydian scale. As soon as you put the minor 3rd here, it starts to smell of minor, you know, as you're playing this minor 3rd. It's not a minor 3rd, it's an augmented 2nd, just like I said, but you can play it here. Now, either way, it doesn't really matter. The notes are the notes, so you can play it in whichever way you want, and ideally, you need to learn it all over the neck. So, you know, nitpicking about this single little pattern here is kind of irrelevant, really, but it's just a way of getting started. So, there's the A flat, Lydian Sharp 9. For the 7th mode, we have the Ultralow Korean scale. So this is a really funky name for a scale. So this is going to be a B Ultralow Korean. So we start on the B there, and we're going to work up. B, C, D, E flat, F, G, then A flat, B. Okay, so it's a strange looking scale again because we've got this augmented second interval there, the minor third there between the 7th and the octave. So we have 14th fret, 15th fret and 17th fret on the A string. Then switch over onto the D string. We have 13th, 15th and 17th fret, and then finally onto the G string where we play the 13th and the 16th fret. Okay, so. Okay, and that's the 7th mode of the harmonic minor, the Ultralow Korean. Once you've played that, we are then back up to the octave here, the C harmonic minor. Okay, so that's all 7 of the modes. Now let's just run through all 7 modes of the C harmonic minor in order. So we begin with C harmonic minor. Then we move up to the 2nd mode, the D Locrian natural 6. Then the 3rd mode, the E flat Ionian augmented. Then we move up to the 4th mode, which is the F Dorian Sharp 11. Then the 5th mode, which is the G Phrygian dominant scale. Then we're up to the 6th mode, which is the A flat Lydian sharp 9. And then finally the B Ultralow Korean. And then we're back to C harmonic minor. Now, as I mentioned in the major modes lessons, learning modes is fine, but many people find applying them quite difficult. I would say that the best way to understand these modes is by learning the chords in the minor key first. Learn all the chords of the harmonic minor scale and then learn the modes after, because harmony is the key. Without understanding how they relate to the chords, you'll forever be in the dark as to the application. I've already released a lesson on the chords of the harmonic minor scale, so go check that out and I'll provide a link in the info below. By learning the chords that you create from each note of the harmonic minor scale, you also learn about the palette of common diatonic chords in the minor key. So when I mention a 2-5-1 progression in C minor, you know I'm talking about a D minor 7 flat 5 followed by a G7 altered followed by a C minor. Learning the chords and the chord tones, or arpeggios, within the scale gives you a start in understanding the chord progressions, and the modes simply serve to join up all those chord tones like a kind of dot-to-dot puzzle. So let's begin with the tonic chord of C harmonic minor. So this is chord 1, okay? So remember, all we're going to be doing is stacking thirds, and to do this, all we have to do is play a note, skip a note, play a note, round and round. So we play the C harmonic minor, and then we work through play a note, skip a note. So we play the C, the first, then we skip the D, play the E flat. So we have C to E flat. Then we skip the F and go straight to the G. So we have C, E flat, G. So already that gives us the tonic triad. So that's C, E flat, G. And as you may or may not know, that's a C minor arpeggio, okay? So chord 1 in C harmonic minor is a C minor triad. Now we can extend that with another third. So we once again skip a note, then play a note. So we skip the A flat and then play the B, and that gives us the 7th chord. So we have C, E flat, G, B. And as you may or may not know, that's a minor major 7 chord. Okay, so quite an eerie kind of chord. So for the tonic chord, for chord 1 in a minor key, we can either have if we're playing a triad, we get C minor, and if we're playing a 7th chord, we get minor major 7. So that's chord 1 of the harmonic minor scale, but we can apply exactly the same principle of play a note, skip a note, stacking thirds from each note of the harmonic minor. So I won't bore you by just working through each one in turn. I'll just play through the whole sequence, and remember this is all there in the previous lesson on the chords of the harmonic minor if you want it a little bit more in depth. So I'll just run through the sequence. So chord 1, we have C minor. So I'm just playing these as triads to begin with. Chord 2 is diminished, so we have D diminished. Chord 3 is augmented, so we have E flat augmented. Chord 4 is minor, so we have F minor. Chord 5 is major, so we have G major. Chord 6 is major, so we have A flat major. And chord 7 is diminished, so we have B diminished. So as chords, we have C minor, D diminished, E flat augmented, F minor, G major, A flat major, B diminished, and C minor. Okay, so that's the sequence of chords in a harmonic minor scale. So you want to learn those arpeggios in exactly the same way that we did the modes. So, you know, just root note on an A string, C minor, D diminished, E flat augmented, work up it in that way. And then you can add the modes in there as well. So to do this, all we're going to do is play up each mode, up and down each mode, and then finish with the appropriate arpeggio, okay? So I'll just demonstrate this. We begin with C harmonic minor. So I work up and down the scale. And then when we get down to the C, we play up through the C minor arpeggio. So. Next, the Korean natural 6. So up the scale. And then we have the arpeggio. Next, E flat Ionian augmented. So. And the E flat augmented arpeggio. Next up to F Dorian Sharp 11. And then F minor arpeggio. Then G Phrygian dominant. And then the G major arpeggio. Next A flat Lydian Sharp 9. And the A flat major arpeggio, then up to B Ultralow Korean, and the B diminished arpeggio, and then we're back. Okay, so however you want to play those arpeggios, you know, you can play them just root 3rd and 5th, you can add the octave in there, so. Or you could play the seventh chords as well. So you come up through the scale, and then up through the minor major 7, and then just work through them in that way. D minor 7 flat 5. Like I say, all the sequence of chords are all there in that previous lesson. So that's a good way to work through these modes as well. Don't just think about working up through the modes themselves or the scales. Add the arpeggios in there so that you can see them. You really want to be able to see those arpeggios within the scale. So when you play, let's say, an A flat Lydian Sharp 9, you can actually see that major or major 7 arpeggio in there, you know, within the scale. When we start with improvisation, it's always advisable to stick with chord tones for a while playing through chord changes. And this allows us to outline the chords more easily, and it's a great start. But lines based only on arpeggios can be quite angular, so by joining up the chord tones with these modes, you can get smoother lines. So finally, I'll just give you a quick tip for memorizing the modes if you're having any problems with them sinking in. Now, I'd advise you to try looking at a short, common minor chord progression first and just playing the appropriate modes and arpeggios. So let's take a 2-5-1 in C minor as an example. So we'll use 7th chords for this. So we're going to have D minor 7 flat 5, followed by G7, followed by C minor major 7. So the arpeggios would be D minor 7, G7, and then C minor major 7. If we use the appropriate modes, we're going to have D Korean natural 6, G Phrygian dominant, and then C harmonic minor. Okay, so you can kind of hear the chord progression moving even though they're the scales. So now let's just run through them again. So scale and then arpeggio. So D Korean natural 6, G7, G Phrygian dominant, and finally C harmonic minor, and and C minor major 7. Okay, so that's a 2-5-1 in the key of C minor. Now bear in mind that it's very rare that you actually use the minor major 7 as the tonic chord. It's usually just the triad, because the C minor major 7 is a very dissonant chord, so it doesn't really have that much resolution to it. So if we were playing through that, D minor 7 flat 5 to G7, then C minor, okay, you can hear the resolution. Whereas with the minor major 7, here how it doesn't have that resolution. So it normally wouldn't have that major 7 in there, but just for the sort of purposes of the academia of it, we can just work through with those 7th arpeggios, including the minor major 7. Now let's just try a couple of other chord progressions. So let's try a 1-4-5 progression. So this will be C minor major 7 followed by F minor 7 followed by G7. Okay, so with the appropriate modes as well. So for chord 1 we have C harmonic minor, chord 4, which is the F Dorian Sharp 11, F minor 7 there, and then for chord 5 again we have G Phrygian dominant and the G7. Okay, so we're relating the chords to the scales. Okay, so I'll just run through that one more time. Okay, so that's a 1-4-5, and then finally let's try a 1-6-5. So this will be C minor followed by A flat major 7 followed by G7. So once again, chord 1, C harmonic minor, the C minor major 7, then A flat Lydian sharp 9, and A flat major 7, and then G Phrygian dominant, G7 arpeggio. Okay, without me talking. Okay. So that's just a few simple progressions, but by mixing up the different chords, you get to learn each mode with a little bit more harmonic application in mind. So have fun learning the harmonic minor modes, and I'll see you later.